Why CNN platforming Stephen Miller's wife, who is comparing Jennifer Welch, the co-host of I've Had It podcast, to Nick Fuentes, who is a devout white nationalist. Listen to this clip.
Someone like Tucker Carlson, who is a very powerful force in the conservative movement.
You host people on your show all the time who call my husband and myself a Nazi. So how is that any different from Tucker Carlson going on Nick Fuentes having Tucker Carlson on his show? It's not different.
He's actually
He's anti-Semite.
A Hitler admirer. Nick Fuentes is actually a Hitler admirer.
But he literally is not a good
That is a different thing.
Excuse me, you have Jennifer Welch on your show very often, and you've never pushed back as she has called my husband a white nationalist.
Hold on.
That is no different than Nick Fuentes going on Tucker Carlson's show. It's not, and you should admit it.
Hold on. How is it anything similar? It's not remotely similar at all. Nick Fuentes sits around and says that he likes Hitler. How is that similar
to do with it? What does she have to do with it? She has nothing to do with it. Literally nothing.
Scott, Katie is the person who just said to me that it is comparable to say that Nick Fuentes, who is literally a neo-Nazi, is the same as somebody, a liberal, who has an opinion who is not a neo-Nazi. They are not
a hateful opinion.
The same.
How do you want? Excuse me. Let's go back to this point one more time.
But
Nick Fuentes can espouse an opinion on Tucker Carlson's show,
and
he didn't push back the same way you didn't push back when someone called someone in my family a Nazi. It's not different.
Hold on a second.
It's not.
If someone comes on this show and says, I love Hitler and I admire what he did, they would never, first of all, I would never invite them on the show and they would never be invited back. So those two things are not the same thing.
But yet you've gone on Jennifer Welch's podcast. It's the same thing.
They are not the same thing.
Why are we even platforming Stephen Miller's wife? Like, clearly she's there with an agenda to normalize people like Nick Fuentes and try to compare them to someone like Jennifer Welch, who stands up for marginalized communities on a daily basis, pushing back on the extreme radical regime that is currently in place, that is regressive in nature and taking away rights from individuals in this country and not expanding access to healthcare, expanding access to things that will lift people out of poverty, but instead are restricting access on higher education for individuals in this country who simply cannot afford it because things are far too expensive in this country. We have to push back against people like Nick Fuentes, who have some of the most extreme ideologies and beliefs in the history of this country. We have to stand up for the least and the most vulnerable people in this country, and that is what people like Jennifer Welch do. Stephen Miller's wife doesn't know anything and should not be platformed by CNN.